Hello Survivor fans, AI Champo 8 here with your Survivor review. Going into the finale and coming off last night's episode, just gonna give my little review of of who was sent home and of how I feel like the strategies of everyone left will get them to the end of the game and help them win. So let's start with who was voted off last night. So we saw Brenda get voted off last night. I think it was a good plan for her to vote her off, but it was just like, oh my god, it breaks your heart, man. Just because she gave up that reward for more than half of the people. So, and her and Dawn, even though Dawn, oh shoot. As I was saying before, the weird advertising thing cut me off. Basically, Brenda's elimination almost breaks your heart because of the fact that she gave up her reward for two of the people that voted her off, which was Cochran and Sherry. And then you got Dawn, who she went into the river to find her retainer a few episodes back. That was definitely a big thing because Dawn probably would have quit the game had it not been for Brenda. So it's like, it breaks your heart a little bit, man. Yeah, it almost doesn't seem right. But you know, if that's how the game goes, I think. As far as Brenda's gameplay this time round, I think she played it far more subtly this time round than she did in Nicaragua. Because it's like, in Nicaragua, she had Chase on her side, she had Sash on her side, she was like leading all the guys, basically to do what she wanted. And had Nayanka in there until Nayanka turned on her, if you guys remember, yeah. And that was ultimately what ended up screwing her in the end, because even Chase and Stash turned on her. And then, yeah. Basically, she played a lot more of a solid game this time around, but the fact is, she was being so nice to everybody that, honestly, at that point, she just ended up being a threat, and I think at that point it gives good reason to vote her out. Alright, so now that we're past that, let's get to the final five going into the finale. How we think they're gonna do. So let's start with Eric. So Eric, honestly, I think has been playing the game, trying to go with the right alliance at the right time. I think that's mainly been Eric's strategy. And probably the biggest move that Eric's made was flipping to the 7-person alliance when Corinne was voted off. But I don't feel like Eric has done that much to prove that he has played as well strategically as some others to win this game. I'm just not sure if Eric's done well enough. He's definitely done well in the competition department. I think anybody that wins immunity at least once has done well there. But overall, I'm not sure about Eric's strategic game. Next up, let's talk about Sherry. Now, Sherry, I think, started the game very strong. She had her alliance of Michael, Matt, Laura, Julia, and who else? Shamar. Yeah, Shamar, who we were able to remember who I was probably able to remember better within the first 4 episodes before he got medevaced. But it's hard to forget Shamar, though I did. Whoops. But honestly, she had a good strategic game before that, but then it's like it was just a whole thing that kind of made that alliance fall apart. Like first Shamar got medevac, then they had to vote Laura off because strategically for the tribe, they really couldn't let Eddie or Reynolds go at that point because of the fact that Laura was easily weaker than them, and they needed strength. But then the tribes got split. Matt and Julia got voted off respectively in two tribal councils. Then the alliances sort of flipped around, and Sherry, I think, just sort of became the swing vote along with Eric, basically. So I don't know how well they're going to consider Sherry's strategy to be, because I think people are going to consider more she's been the swing vote than anything. And I don't believe that's going to gain her the votes at the end, if she is to make it there. Next, let's talk about Eddie. Now, Eddie, I think, has got a good case for himself, because I think if Eddie is able to get to the end, he might have a good case that he was a target from day one on the Fans Tribe when he had his four-way alliance of Eddie, Reynolds, Allie, and Hope. And he managed to not only survive that, he managed to get past that, he managed to get through to the merge where, once again, he ended up becoming a target, one of the targets, when Corinne was voted off, and him, Malcolm, Reynolds, and Michael ended up being the four targets left. Yet he still managed to survive. He managed to get the idol that was given to him by Malcolm, and managed to survive. And now he managed to survive being a target during the last two tribal councils, especially this last one where Brenda was voted out, where he could have very well been going home. So I think there is a certain point there that Eddie has fought his way strategically to the point where he is now. There's definitely a point in that people could vote for him to win. Next, let's talk about Dawn. Now, Dawn, obviously, I just watched the Ponderosa video for Brenda this morning, and it's very obvious that the whole jury seems to be anti-Dawn right now, because they really do believe that she's backstabbed people left and right. And I think it's interesting that they think that they're so pissed off with Dawn. Yet I believe really the one that's been really playing the game strategically and really making all these moves is Cochran. And I think Cochran's playing it perfectly because Dawn's the one taking all the heat for this. And if I had to compare it to anything, it would be like Big Brother Season 10 with the Renegades, Dan and Memphis. And Dan was the one pulling all the dirty work, yet Memphis ended up being the one that got all the heat for it. And it was just like, basically, like how Dan played off and made Memphis look like the bad guy, Cochran is playing it off and basically, I don't know if he's intentionally doing it, but he's definitely making Dawn look like the bad person. And I think that's going to be very good. That might not be good for Dawn in the final vote, because I don't think Dawn will be able to get the votes, because the jury is very bitter towards her right now. Now, speaking of Cochran, let's do our little review of Cochran now. So Cochran, honestly, I think Cochran actually has played a really good game. Like, he's managed to stay low below the radar, but he's managed to, from behind the scenes, sort of just take the game, strategically think out each move, and he's managed to be a part of each vote, yet nobody has really suspected him majorly throughout the game, which is very interesting because he has definitely been he was a major part, if I remember correctly, I think he was a major part of Matt's vote out. Was the first big one I think he was a big part of. Was it? It was. Yep, it was Cochran that discussed Matt going. And I think that continued even through the merge. It continued with voting out, with probably voting out Malcolm, and with the vote out for Malcolm and Reynolds, and even for Andrea especially. He sort of planned that little thing with Andrea and Eddie being having to split the votes and everything. You know what? Cochran, I think, has from behind the scenes really made his game work well. Not only that, but he has won a couple of immunity challenges, which I don't think, I know I didn't expect coming in, and I don't think anybody could have expected that. So I really think if Cochran gets to the end, he will probably win the $1 million. I really believe that. Because Cochran, I think, out of the 5 left, has played the best game overall. So that's my opinion. You guys tell me what you think through the comments on the YouTube, under the YouTube video. And enjoy watching the finale on Sunday and have a good day. Thank you.